Actually, you're the second press attaché of national teams. Before I had only press attaché of Nigerian national team.
Oh, really?
I also want to have one from Russia, but he's always telling me maybe next time, maybe next time. It's like 2 months maybe. Okay, we are online and very welcome to my project. Matjaz Krajnik, press attaché of national team of Slovenia.
Hi, Alex. Thank you for having me.
And first of all, thank you so much that you have this time with me, because I know that you're quite busy, and we were talking a lot about the time, about the best time we could have this conversation.
Yeah,
So
we had to reschedule this one time before, right? But unfortunately, a lot of things were happening at that day, and it's better we do it today.
Actually, you told me that you are working from home now. Something changed in Slovenia?
Yeah, Slovenia is practically on lockdown now because of the COVID situation. We have about 30% of positive tests daily. So yeah, but okay, we have.
You mean 30% of what?
30% of tests are positive from all the tests that are taken.
And how many tests per day?
I think between 5,000 and 6,000.
Wow.
So it's like around 2,000 people, between 1,500 and 2,000 people are positive daily. So we were still working. I was actually still working with a couple of colleagues yesterday because we had a general assembly elections for the president, and now we're working from home from today.
And championship of Slovenia now is still going?
Yes, it's still going. We have the next round on Wednesday. So yeah, it's still going, and at a quite quick pace, because we'll be playing Wednesdays, Saturdays. For
it's
as long as
without fans, or maybe some restrictions.
Without fans. We have restrictions in place. And about a week ago, a few clubs were still playing with some fans, not many of them, but now it's completely locked down for fans. We're even thinking that we will go back to a smaller number of journalists and photographers per game than we had right now. So the priority is to finish the championship, or to play as long as we can.
And how many games you have this year to play?
I think we still have 5 or 6 rounds.
But you say rounds, that it means
5.
It's not like
normal round is one weekday, right? For the so 5 games per week, per weekday, per match day actually. So we still have 5 or 6 match days, I think.
I see. Okay, maybe all of viewers, they be tired of these COVID topics, and that's why I want to start from a bit different. First of all, for many people, when they hear Slovenia, they think Maribor, and they think about 2009, very dramatic game. But it started from Russia, and I don't know if you heard about that, but even in Russian Wikipedia, you can find the article about these games, and it called somehow like disaster or failure of Russia. And it's really huge. I just checked it out. It's really huge, and it started from this Moscow game. And maybe you can tell us the whole story, like from your perspective, from Slovenian perspective, starting from the moment when Slovenia finished as a second in the group, and then you knew that you will play against Russia. Like, how was your impressions and impressions of your coaches?
Honestly, it was crazy. We finished second in the group by I think our last game, or no, our game one before last was Slovakia away. We won that game, and then we played San Marino away in the last round, and waiting for the result of the game between Poland and Czech Republic, I think. So or Slovak, not sure, but anyway, the other game ended in a draw, and we finished second despite beating the San Marino in the last game. So when we got to play, when we got the draw against Russia, we were like, I remember I was just on a private trip to London. I was in London at that time, and we just started selling tickets then for the game. We started selling them immediately, I think a day or two after the draw. And I remember our website crashing because of all the interest for the return game. So that was before we played the first game. It was totally crazy. And then when we traveled to Russia, we played in Moscow. I remember it was so cold. It was and we were totally beaten that game. it was I remember in the middle of the second half it was 2-0 for Russia, and we were hanging by a thread in there, and it was like, let's just hope we get something out of this one. And then Nate Spechnik scored after a Robert Koren pass, and it was like, wow, we're it's not 3-0, it's 2-1. Even the players and not the players, but the staff that was in the stands was like, we were like, wow, nice. And yeah, in the end, we all know what happened in Maribor.
And the team was happy with the result in Moscow, or it was...
yeah, we were, because we had an active result. If we were very close to conceding, I think two situations were where Samir Handanovic saved something like saved brilliant chances from the Russian team, and I think it was Pavlyuchenko or Arshavin, and so when we came to Maribor with only one goal down, we were sure we were going to go through. Honestly.
Oh, really? And you personally?
I mean, sure. We were like, if we survive that, they will not survive the hell of Maribor, like we called it, because Maribor, although it's a small venue, it has only like 13,000 people, but if you check the highlights from that game,
it's crazy.
It was crazy, and it was even more crazy because that game was really decisive. And I remember all your high politicians coming for the game, president, prime minister. They all came to the game. We heard stories that they landed in Graz, traveled over to Maribor, had scheduled already big parties, festivities for after the game, and didn't work out quite as they wanted to, but yeah.
But it was kind of additional motivation for your team that okay, we will spoil these celebrations.
I mean, of course it was it was when we heard. I was very involved in the organization as well, because we're a small federation, and of course for all the media operations and other small details connected to the organization of the game, I was obviously very involved there. So when we heard stories, Russians already sure that they will go through. That we even heard that you had sorry for saying you, but that they had a big preparation for the new kit for the World Cup. I mean, they prepared a big presentation for the new kit, and so that was all additional motivation for the players. But that group of players was really close knit. They were we got a lot of journalist questions. What's so special about the preparation of this team when they go to the game? Because the coach Matjaz Krajnik, who's also coaching the team now, he was also always talking, and the team was always talking about this atmosphere on the bus. and we would not allow anybody to go on that bus to see what's going on that bus. We had countless of requests from journalists. We had TV crews wanting to see what's happening on that bus. And honestly, that team, when we started from the hotel towards the match, towards the stadium, there was loud music, guys were cheering, playing, and it was so full with energy that when they came to the stadium, they were so hyped that it was really hard to stop them.
But usually, as I see from my work, from my team, usually before the game, everybody's focused and it's total silence.
I know, right?
In the bus.
I know.
But it was music before the game.
It was music. I mean,
wow.
It's honestly, they were banging on the windows of the bus, getting riled up, getting cheered up they, as I said, they came. So when I compare what they went through, their concentration for the game was that's wow. How they got concentrated for the game. That's how they got worked up to play, and it was amazing. And when I see what's happening now, like you said, every player with his own headphones, his phone, everybody's listening to some different music, getting focused, I don't know. It's interesting. It was very different then. But
maybe
it was only that generation that had that in them,
Okay. Maybe you can say some words also about the final whistle. Where have you been at that time? What was your impressions and the dressing room after that?
I was pit side at that time because obviously we had media activities immediately after, or we thought we would have them immediately after, but in the end, everybody. It was when the final whistle went off. I remember that. I think just before the final whistle, I think Russia had a good chance to equalize, and so we were obviously beside ourselves. I mean, it was 10 years from our last qualification for the World Cup. So these guys, none of them was there for that one. I think Boštjan Cesar joined the team later, and so it was the first time for all of them, for the coach as well. So we were all beside ourselves, and I remember chasing them. Then the players, that was the most. How post-game interviews are all like, okay, so here's the backdrop, stand here, do the interview. No, forget about it. You had radio reporters running around the coach, talking to him directly. You had live TV broadcast by the pit side. So the camera that's usually movable, that camera was recording because nobody was standing still, and the journalist was there asking questions as they were walking around the pitch, saying hi to fans. So it was crazy.
But you remember dressing room after that? Was something there also?
There was also a story about this dressing room of ours. The players would not let anybody in that dressing room. I mean, not anybody that was not on the team. So the prime minister of Slovenia at that time,
wow,
he wanted to polish their shoes. He made he wanted to polish the captain's boots after the game if they qualified. Yeah, of course that didn't go that well. In the end, after a lot of talks, they would in the end let the prime minister of Slovenia in with his crew, so they could record that. But otherwise, they would not let people who are not with the team or the team in. That was the thing that really kept that team together. They were like last year when we had 10 years from that game was last year, and we had a little event in Ljubljana, and we held it for both the generation 2000 and for the generation 2010. And while only a few guys from the 2000 generation came, like 7 or 8, almost everybody from the 2010 generation came. That's how close they were. And Zlatko Dedic, who scored the goal in that last game, he wanted to drive across half of the Austria, because he was playing at that time in Innsbruck. So he wanted to drive from there to Ljubljana just to be part of that event, but in the end it was snowing really bad in most of the Austria, so he had to stay at home.
It was which year?
That was last year, 2019. We had this event, yeah.
Wow, great.
Because Zlatko is still playing.
In the end, as you said, maybe like people from outside couldn't come in, but you were in. Maybe you have some personal.
It was
feelings.
It was very loud. I don't remember that much anymore because everybody was jumping. There was champagne everywhere. It was really, really, all these years of hard work,
I see.
Coming
maybe
up to
I can
one
ask
point.
in different way. For example, I had an interview with a guy who was a cameraman in Russian national team during World Cup, and he told me how he was talking all the time with the coach, with Cherchesov, that hey man, it's a history. We need to film everything what's happening before this last 16 round before Spain, and then quarterfinal against Croatia. So what about you? Did you have any cameraman inside? Nothing.
No, we didn't. That was the thing about this team. Like I said before, we
didn't like it or what?
No, it was great. I mean, but they were maybe looking back, it would be good if we had our own camera in there to capture those moments, but in the end it happened also so fast that despite the fact that we believed in that, nobody wanted to jinx it. We didn't want to make big plans because before the game. Obviously our opponents made them. I remember Gus Hiddink was the coach, right? I remember he was so pissed after the game that I think he didn't even go for the press conference. I'm not sure.
Yes, I read about that. Yes.
So he was just outside of the bus, standing outside of the bus, pissed, and it was a shock for him. It was a shock for the Russian team. I imagine you had Polyuchenko playing at Tottenham at that time. You had Arshavin. I'm not sure if he was also already an Arsenal member at that time. You had Zhirko. You had
Bilaredinov also.
Yeah, Bilaredinov, of course, as well. He was at Everton at the time, if I remember correctly. So it was a really good team, But we had a really good team as well, and we had but they weren't playing for such big clubs. But still, Milivoje Novakovic was really good at Köln at that time, scoring I don't know how many goals, and
Maybe to finish this story, also some words about the World Cup itself in South Africa. What do you remember from that?
I remember that things changed a bit when we arrived to South Africa, because then we started to feel the pressure of playing there. There was some, I could say, tension before the first game. But when we defeated Algeria in a game that probably nobody else but us and the Algerians watched, because it wasn't a pretty game to watch. And then this goal from Robert Coren, which wasn't even that good of a shot, honestly, but the keeper probably didn't see the ball or something. But it was the goal that gave us the victory, and then gave us the motivation and the fuel for the other games as well. I mean, and we were really close to going through. I remember the thing I remember the most, other than the fact that there were some tensions between the president of the federation at that time and the team. But the thing I remember the most, how that team functioned well together, and how we were already on the pitch after the last game with England. We were already on the pitch, and the result that our game finished was okay for us to go to the elimination round. And at that time, Landon Donovan scored at the game USA Algeria in like 94th minute, and we were third, and then we were eliminated from the tournament. We were almost celebrating on that pitch. You know, it would have been something similar to what happened in Maribor as far as the celebration goes, but then in the end it was like somebody just, we got information, we were all on the phones, what's happening there, and then someone's like, oh shit, Donovan scored, and it was like everybody just almost fell down.
Wow.
The players found out on the pitch, so it was pretty bad then.
But it's a great story, you know. Maybe also you heard how Russia qualified for Euro 2008 when Croatia beaten England at Wembley 3-2, and Russia after that qualified from the second place. Yeah. And then was one of the best results of Russian team after Soviet Union. So we were at semi-final at that time.
I remember that. Yeah, I remember.
Yeah, it's very, very dramatic.
But so you know, that was also, and then we managed to eliminate Russia in 2009, yes. Right? So it was a very big deal. Like I said, you had a great team then.
Yeah, even, you know, now I watched these highlights, and the speed of this team, creativity, it's really unbelievable. What can you say about the atmosphere? You said the atmosphere after the game against Russia and at World Cup. Did you save this atmosphere, or it was different?
I mean, there were, like I said, there were some tensions between the team and the president.
It changed. Yeah.
So it changed a bit. There were some stuff that was that they didn't agree before. So maybe from that perspective, there was some tension, but that got the team together even more. They were even tighter than they were, and they were already very tight. And it was like, I remember flying back from the first game was in Polokwane against Algeria, and we were stationed in Johannesburg. I remember that flight back, or we stayed. We spent the night, and then the next day flying back. But the team, the atmosphere on the plane was also great. We were singing, cheering, you know, stuff like. These guys were living out their dream, actually, you know. So it showed.
Okay, let's talk about your work, about media. How does it change, in general, your job during these 10 years? At 2010, social media was just going up, not much developed. But now, without social media, it's not possible to work at all. So in these terms, and in general, your work in national team, how does it change?
I remember back in 2009, I think, when we qualified for the World Cup, you know, it was FIFA that got this connection with Facebook at that time, and all the teams that were qualified were verified by Facebook at that time. So we got a bunch of new followers at that time, you know, like, I don't know, we got like 60,000 people, which is a lot for us. We had, I don't know, 20,000-30,000 before. So and I remember that all of a sudden in 2009 Facebook was big for us. You know, we were learning what to do with it, but our main channel at that time was our website. But even before that, yeah, when I joined joined up with the FA of Slovenia, I came primarily because the website needed an upgrade from that one, which was 4 years old when I joined. So it was built in 2000, and I joined the FA at 2000 in 2004. So yeah, that changed a lot. You know, when we had a lot of phone calls then. We had a lot of I mean, okay, that it was maybe a different time in 2009 because we were that successful. That team was that successful in the eyes of the Slovenians, and you know, I remember when you came to Facebook at that time, you had this FA Slovenia shortcut on the right immediately, like you did for all the participating nations at that time. So that's why we got a lot of followers, but then it all moved to, you know, commentaries, and channels opened up, and you know, now when you post something in any media, on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, you have to, you don't just leave it there. You have to follow what's happening, what the reactions are. Are the reactions good or bad? Are they offensive? Do they need to be, you know, hidden because they're offensive? It's like the field changed, and the information travels so fast now that now you cannot hide anything anymore.
People using second screens also.
Yes, of course, of course. During the game, it's completely. It's not that much focus on the game, actually. I mean, you know, people are not really watching the game. They're listening to the commentator and typing on their phones. I was talking to a colleague about a while ago. It was actually here, and we were like, okay, so people are really watching just like 20 minutes of the game.
Yeah, that's true. Sorry, I need to change my headphones because it's discharged. A moment.
No problem.
So can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good.
That's why I took this one too.
Yes, this one is better. Sometimes I'm thinking also that, you know, I think that in a few years we will charge everything, like phones, maybe our brains.
Yeah. I just have to buy a new phone in the next few weeks because this one is already not holding that much battery time, and I saw this one like that has like 120 watts charging. It's like charges to 100% in 15 minutes. So I was like, wow.
Yeah,
that's something I need.
So you said about Facebook in 2009. What about social media now in Slovenian national team, federation? How many platforms you use, and how you use these platforms? Which content you can put there?
We when we started growing as a federation, like in 2009 or 2008, 7, 8, we started our growth a bit more. But from like 2018, we actually have a social media manager. So it's not only dependent on, or even before that, 2016, we had people coming in, adding new people to the media to the communications division. So we currently have all the national teams channel. We don't use TikTok yet. We don't use Snapchat. We never started. I think we registered it, but never started. So for the national team, we're using Facebook, we're using Twitter, we're using Instagram. For the league, we're running the channels for the same. So Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and for both we have YouTube channels. So it's a lot of channels, you know, to look after. We're not that committed to LinkedIn. We have the account, but we're not that committed. It's a different population there. Maybe if we had more time, more resources, we could do much more stuff there as well. But yeah, we're trying to separate what we post where, but generally we post the more relevant news everywhere. And then we I don't know, then we post for the league, for example, we post highlights from the league on YouTube. And then on website we don't post them on Facebook or Twitter, for example. We use stories a lot with events, so we do Instagram and Facebook stories, that kind of events, that kind of material. We use Instagram for photos, mostly for not that much for the, you know, not that much for informational value, but for maybe artistic value, so to say.
Image, maybe.
Yes. But like I said,
what about internal life of the team? For example, in Sochi, we try to show some moments which is, let's say, closed for normal people, for normal fans, maybe in dressing room before the training.
Well, honestly, considering that we have these guys at our disposal, so to say, from the national team, we have them for like only 10 days per month. We're not doing that much with them, because when we do have them, it's usually packed. I mean, the schedule is usually packed, so we do media activities almost every day, 2 players per day, for example. And then you have players, you know, who don't like to talk too much to the media, but we usually don't do much from the hotel, for example. We said we would change that. Honestly, we did, but I don't know. It's a hard habit to change.
What about Miha Mevla? In Sochi, it's difficult to get any words from him.
I knew you were gonna ask me that. Miha is a really nice guy. I worked with him. Back in 2009 when he was playing for under 19 team, and they qualified for the European Championship at a home turn. We had a home elite round tournament, and then we qualified. They qualified. Not sure what I'm saying. Why I'm saying we. And it was a great time that we had in Ukraine for that Euro. Miha was never that much that guy, you know, who wanted the attention. Back then, he was still playing defensive midfielder. His brother was a center back, and then as years went by, Miha moved backwards and is now playing in the defensive position. But yeah, he doesn't like when honestly when we get together, he's like, Matjaz, come on, don't use me. I mean, use maybe no, I don't want to speak. Come on, but yeah, he's not the most talkative, but that's our job then, you know, to know what the players want as well, not just the media, you know.
But sometimes you have any principles, for example, that everybody should talk once a year, maybe, or if a person doesn't want, you don't touch him anymore.
I don't touch him. If they don't want, for example, if it's a game and Miha scores 2 goals with his head, unfortunately that has not happened yet, but if that were to happen, of course he would go and talk to the media, right? But you know, it's always the hardest to talk to media when you feel you have nothing to tell them. I mean, so at that time, so it's like, okay, so they're gonna ask me before the game what my expectations are. We want to win. What are my expectations? You know, how am I supposed to? So you try to advise them, you try to coach them if they need it, but that's not really the same, is it? I mean, you know, so if a few players, I have a general understanding with that I don't use them before the game, that I use them after the game. It's like I remember Roman Bezek was like, he was like, oh, okay, I'm not gonna speak before the game, but when I score, you can give me to the media. And then I was like, okay, I won't touch you. And then I didn't touch him for that period before the game, and then he scored in the game. It's like, okay, now obviously that works. But
yeah, that's a good way.
Yeah.
So you sent me the message with your previous experiences, and I saw it's a lot of international events. And as I understand, if any national team, any age qualify for big events, you always go with the team, right?
Previously, yes. Now I'm more with the national team. Like I said, we started expanding as a communications department.
Okay.
So it's now with we have a head of the department, which is for the department is for commercial and communication. So on the commercial, we have a head of the department, and then we have people working mostly on comms, and then we have people working on marketing. And since the FIFA calendar dates are now, the teams are mostly playing in the same time slots. It's practically impossible for somebody to be with the A team and with the under 21 and the under 19 because they're all playing at the same time. And for example, if somebody is working with a team, I don't know, with an under 19 team for all the time for the entire year, then it's also he should also go with them if they qualify for a big event.
Yeah. But how many people now are working in your department?
So in our marketing communications department, it's 5 people right now. So the head of the department, then we have one dedicated for marketing, and the head of department is mostly dedicated to marketing. And then we have this social media guy and 2 of us on comms mostly.
How you usually communicate? Using WhatsApp, emails, or phone calls?
If you asked me this 1 year ago, I would say emails and mailing lists and everything. Or if you ask me that 2 years ago, now it's mostly WhatsApp, mostly Viber. And then after I've posted the news, for example, on our website, a press release on our website, I send it through Viber, I send it through WhatsApp, and then after that I send it over email. So we still cover everything, but the news first gets out through, I'd say, through Viber and WhatsApp. So that has changed our work maybe even more than social media.
Maybe you have some chats with the journalists and you send your releases just in these chats, right?
Yeah, a broadcast list. I have broadcast list in Viber and in WhatsApp. So when I send that instantly to all of them and to their phones. So it's not like they have to check their email.
Yeah.
At first I had a group chat with, I don't know, I think the limit is 50 or something like that for a group, or it was. And then that wasn't that good because then some would reply, joke around, and that wasn't that professional.
Yes. And what about Telegram in Russia? Now it's used a lot for insights about the rumors of transfers and all this behind the scenes football.
It's supposed to be secure, but it's not that popular here. I mean, here it's Viber, WhatsApp, and Facebook Messenger that are really popular. I'd say.
As one guy told me in Germany that you're using Telegram, you're not a drug dealer or you're not a terrorist.
Yeah, exactly.
So I heard this also.
Exactly.
And again, talking back about your experiences, so you had World Cup and then this under 19 and under 17 team. And
Yeah,
you also hosted Futsal Euro, you said.
Yeah, we hosted Futsal Euro in 2018. That was a surprisingly great event. I mean, we know that people like to come for big events, join, watch games and stuff like that. But we managed to. It was above our expectations. The team was playing good futsal. They are among top 7 teams in Europe.
Oh, really?
Or were at that,
to be honest, I never heard.
Were at that time, and it was a really good tournament.
And what about the fans? The stadiums?
Yeah, we sold out the arena on 4 or 5 occasions, and there were 2 matches per day, so you can only send.
Yeah.
So on that day, you had to sell, I don't know, the entire 14,000 tickets were sold for both matches.
Yeah. And what is now? In Russia and Siberia, futsal is always popular because there is quite difficult to play all the year outside, but
it was we really pushed for we worked with actually UEFA and us worked together and with an agency to promote that tournament, and it was completely different than, I don't know, promoting the Euro that the under 21 Euro that we're gonna host next year, because there's a lot of big, a lot of things are now different because of the COVID situation. And at that time, there were like events that we had before the tournament, and it was people really. And once the national team played the first game, and they were successful, a lot of people already came for that opening game. They won. I think they won against Serbia, or drew. I'm not sure. But anyway, the first game was a hit, and the guys were fighters. People like to watch fighters when the team goes out and they have this foam around their mouth when they're playing and stuff like that. That image that they would do everything for the national jersey, and it was really good at that time. But after that, you have a group of people where futsal is popular, but it's not generally popular on the national level for the entire time. Yes, for the big competitions, but not really that much for the.
But you have national championship, right, in futsal?
Yes, of course. But we had to postpone it now because of the COVID. So we had to postpone the futsal championship and the second division football because of COVID, and we're only playing first division and first women's league.
And also maybe that Russia qualified for Euro under 21. I think first time in 10 years or in 12 years even, after a long period without playing this.
I wasn't following yet that much on the qualifying. I know that we prepared for Russia as well, the congratulations template, but we didn't post that yet because there were still we were still. UEFA did some changes to the design of the competition, so that's why we didn't post them yet.
I heard that it should be like 2 different stages.
Yes, the first stage will be played in March.
Yes.
March 21, and then only the elimination round in June.
Okay.
And the competition is played in Hungary and Slovenia. So half of the teams are in Hungary, half of the teams are in Slovenia, and it's the first time it's a big tournament. So we have 8 teams here and 8 teams in Hungary.
Okay, so as you said about the hosting and the different countries, I had a question previously. I had a guest from Croatia, and in these terms I have 2 questions to you. First of all, we were talking about the let's say spirit of Croatian national team. That I was curious why Croatia tried to win against England at Wembley when they needed anything. They just played and they won. And he said about the national spirit that for Croatians it's kind of national idea of football. What about Slovenia? Could you say the same, that Slovenian national team will play till the end, doesn't matter where and when?
I would love to say yes, but I'm not. I mean, it's every sportsman, so every football player, will always tell you that they will play until the end. It's in their nature, after all. But it's different with Croatia. It's different with Croatians because I have a feeling that they would do everything for that jersey with the national team emblem on it. They have this tremendous passion for playing for the national team that other teams mostly.
But why? Maybe you can explain from inside.
It's in their temperament. It's in their I don't know. I would say it's in their DNA, but
So, and other question about the possibility that maybe someday, I don't know in how many years, but all Balkanian countries will be together hosting an international event like Euro or World Cup. Do you think is it possible or it's unbelievable?
Honestly, there was a lot of talks about this Balkan League but I didn't see that one happening personally. First, because I know that UEFA at that time, I'm not sure what the position is now, but wasn't moving towards regional leagues, like a Balkan League would be. So I don't know, hosting together a competition. It would be possible in a way, but the entire former Yugoslavia, it would be too much, too big of an area to cover, because there are some rules about where a match can be hosted and how far the hotels can be. The teams can only drive for an hour, stuff like that, from the hotel to the pitch. So I doubted that it could be for the entire former country, but on the other hand, why not?
But from political point of view, you don't see any disturbance.
I think that here in Slovenia we don't feel that tension that much as maybe still exists between, I don't know, Bosnia and Serbia or Croatia and Serbia or stuff like that. We got off, I would say, pretty easy during that time in the 90s. So I don't think it was that bad for us. It was terrible what happened, obviously, but Slovenia was pretty lucky there.
Actually, last summer we had training camps in Slovenia, and it was very nice.
Yeah.
Yes. And I was impressed. I never heard that it's possible. I heard about Austria. I heard about Emirates, Qatar, but Slovenia was a discovery for me.
Where were you? Which city? Where were you stationed?
I don't remember the city. I remember that we flight directed to Zagreb, and then we go by car from Zagreb to the border, and like 1 hour maybe from the border. I heard that the Zagreb was not so far.
The closest airport for that.
Yes.
Maybe so. Yeah, I don't know. You might have been in probably Maribor, although you could have landed in Maribor then, but not sure.
Yes, I don't know. And another topic, maybe the last, maybe not. Alexander Cheferin. You said that you worked with him as a media officer or a press attaché of him. For me personally, I was impressed that the guy from East Europe became the leader of UEFA, and after Michel Platini. Maybe you can say some words also how the situation was going and from where he came from. And
Alexander has that ability, to convince, to impress and convince people immediately when he meets them, and that played a major role in this, in all of this. He's a really a nice guy, but tough when he has to be tough, and that was I remember hearing that he got support, you know, that FA started nominating him for the president, and then days went by. He was always somewhere with his team as it started. He was always somewhere with the general secretary and all, and suddenly all this support was coming in. The former countries of the it was the Scandinavians that first supported him, that first nominated him for the president, and he got so much public support that he could not be overlooked anymore. So we had media from England, from Germany, from the biggest newspapers coming in, wanting to find out who that guy running for the UEFA president is, because he's from Slovenia. Who would imagine that? Like you said, somebody coming from a small Slovenia to do what he did, and I remember he never doubted it. When he decided to run for that position, he never doubted that he would not be successful, and I think that's what drew him forward. And I think in the end, it's what helped him get elected.
And previously, he was working in the Slovenian Football
Yeah,
Federation.
he was the president. He was the president of the Slovenian Federation. That's how we all. Obviously, everybody at the FA got behind him to help him where he needed help. I was lucky and privileged enough, to be on that team that went with him to Athens for the elections. I remember us coming there. Maybe the 2 days before the elections, it was like some people even didn't look at us.
It was which year? Sorry.
2016.
16. Okay.
I remember, 2 days before when we arrived, I still think that some people didn't think that he would that he stands a chance. Everybody was around Van Prague and everything, like nobody around him. But then the next day, one day or on the day of the election, everybody was around Alexander. So,
and who was the main rival of him at that time?
It was the president of the Dutch FA, Michael van Praag, and Spaniard Villar dropped out of the race a few days or like, I don't know, 2 weeks before. But yeah, that was a very interesting period when we were there in Athens, and to see that from up close, all this drama around the elections of the most important position in world football, if you ask me, not only European but world.
Yeah. And why do you think that in world football it's not FIFA?
I mean, I think that FIFA. I think that UEFA is such a big organization. It's
many clubs competitions, maybe.
Of course. I mean, UEFA brings together. Okay, it's a confederation under FIFA, but as an organization, it's huge, with all the people employed there, with all the money going in because of the TV rights of the clubs, European clubs competitions, everything. It's really huge. So I think it carries more influence in the end than FIFA.
And it was maybe you could compare it, this winning of Alexander Čeferin with the win of Slovenian team. I understand it's different, but still.
It is different. It is different, and you are in a room, in a huge room full of delegates. There's a lot of emotions. There were a lot of emotions in all of us. And Alexander is a very, like I said before, he can be tough when he has to be, when he needs to be tough. But he was hugging everybody. Everybody was hugging him. It's obvious he comes from Slovenia, because we are still from former Yugoslavia. We like to hug, I guess. Everybody. If you go to if you go to Serbia, if you go to Croatia, everybody's hugging all the time. And Alexander was also hugging. Everybody was hugging him. They were all best friends, and immediately. So, but it's when you ask, you don't celebrate it like you celebrate something on the pitch. When you're jumping around with joy, you're joyous, you're full of adrenaline, but you're like, hey, great,
It's
you
like
can
you
jump
got
around.
the exam.
Yeah,
You succeed the exam.
Yeah.
Like that. Yeah. And, I don't know if you can answer this question or not, but we know that before UEFA tried to develop countries, small countries with low budget clubs, and to give more possibilities for them to qualify for Champions League. But now I understand that UEFA is under tensions between big clubs, which wanted to create a separated league. But still, what do you think about small clubs now? How it's developing from your point of view? I don't know. Again, if you can talk about it.
I can obviously give you my opinion. I don't have any other input that would be relevant to this question from anybody else. But I think that it was that all these new competitions that arose from UEFA are a chance to give the smaller clubs a platform where they can play if they fail to qualify for the big competition. But the big clubs are getting that much stronger, or that it's hard to keep up for the little clubs. And from Slovenia's perspective, if you have Maribor and, I don't know, Olympia, for example, or I don't know, Maribor was playing Champions League and Europa League, and if you have 1-2 bad seasons and go out of European competition quickly, the financial repercussions of that are tremendous, huge, right? Because you have players on big salaries from that time, maybe as well. And I think that as long as Alexander will be, that's my personal opinion, of course, that as long as he will be the president of UEFA, he will always try to make room for everybody, to that deserves to be there. So if a team deserves to be there through their performances on the pitch, they will have opportunity to go to the Champions League.
But I think in next 10 or 20 years, is it possible that such small teams like Steaua or Crvena Zvezda will win the Champions League again? Or maybe this era is in the past?
It's a different time, I think.
Okay.
I doubt it.
And now
it was also a different competition then. It was not a group stage here. So if you were a bit lucky with a draw when Crvena Zvezda won the it was called, what was it called, Cup of Champions that time. Anyway,
Okay, I see. Maybe another funny question. If do you have WhatsApp now? If I send you the picture and
yeah, I have.
I ask you to look. In Sochi last year, we had this goalkeeper, and maybe you can guess on which Slovenian player it looks similar.
Okay.
Can you look?
It looks,
Slovenian goalkeeper.
He looks a lot like Jan Oblak.
Yes, exactly. And he told us many stories that during World Cup he was just walking around, and journalists would stop him and ask, Jan, what do you think about the chances of different national teams, or why are you here in Russia? What are you doing here? And do you think that if he comes in Slovenia, people could be mixed with that?
In Slovenia, I'm not sure, but maybe elsewhere, yeah. Elsewhere, I imagine it would happen, but I don't think in Slovenia.
Okay.
Because
maybe you can say something to him. I will put it on Instagram and to mention him, because he also speaks English, and will be nice. Now he's playing in second Russian division.
I'll show Jan this picture to see that he has a double.
That's good.
To see that he has a double in Russian league. I'll show him. I'll show it to Jan. So maybe that for example, when media says he's been in talks with, I don't know, Russian clubs, that he won't panic,
It will be funny if maybe they will be playing in one team someday. I don't know. Okay.
Yeah, there's a big similarity. Yeah, they look alike.
I think more or less that's all with my main topics. And in the end, I have small quiz for you.
Okay.
And after this quiz, I will ask you maybe to suggest the next guest for my project. Okay. From the press officers, personal.
Okay.
So, and if you're ready, we'll start. 3 main qualities of a good press attaché.
Reliability, responsiveness, and personal integrity.
What do you mean by personal integrity?
That you know which information you can share and when you can share them. Then that somebody doesn't share that information, I don't know, just because it would he would take some credit for sharing the information, right? Information that cannot go out at that point. Or as a press officer, you are privy to a lot of privileged information in I don't know, be it in the hotel, be it with the team, on the bus, everywhere, that you have to keep that information for yourself and only publish what is appropriate. Yeah.
It's a good point. Could the press officer always be honest?
Yes, I'm inclined to say yes here, but sometimes you have to omit some things. But you cannot lie, but you can omit it. So I'm not gonna highlight something if I know I'm not supposed to. But if somebody asks me, then I cannot lie, right? So it's up to the journalist to ask the right questions, I guess.
Yeah. How do you learn new things in your job?
How do I learn new things? I guess through experience. I would say, I don't know. You try something, you see how it works, and you try to improve it for the next time. Or talking to my colleagues from other federations, from other clubs. This year, or actually last year, we established a very active group on Viber with the press officers from the other football clubs from the other first division clubs in Slovenia. So we try to be there for them as far as the FA Slovenia is concerned. The entire comms department basically is together with them in that group. We try to help them if they have some questions, if they have some problems. We try to give them our opinions how to solve them, and then I don't know, talking to the media as well helps things, right?
Cool. The biggest achievement of modern Slovenian football?
The biggest achievement of modern Slovenian football will be Alexander Čeferin winning the presidential race. I think that's we're not realizing or imagining what that means for Slovenia, for Slovenian football. We will realize it when it's over, because it will be like nothing is like it was at that time. And maybe also Damir Skomina refereeing the UEFA Champions League and the European Championship.
But people talk a lot about these events in media and like, I don't know, normal people in Slovenia.
Events as in?
Like the win of Čeferin and
it was a very
Skomina.
big deal. It was a very big deal, yeah, at that time in
Okay.
Slovenia. And Alexander Čeferin is extremely popular in Slovenia. If he decided, I don't know, to go into politics, he would win straight out for whichever office he ran.
So if I show his picture on the street, everybody will
Yes.
know him. Okay. The day when you were happy at work. Don't say 2009 Maribor.
Actually, there were. I would say happiest for then, but I was happy also, like you said, in at the World Cup when we won for the first time. I was happy when everything went well with the under 20 with the futsal championship and in Slovenia when it was such a success. I can tell you also when I was the most sad, because it was when we all almost qualified for the World Cup under the former coach Srečko Katanec, when we were winning in Switzerland. I think it was 2-0, and then and if we won that match, we would have gone straight to the championship, to the World Cup. I think it was World Cup, or it was Euro, yes, right. But then the Swiss team turned the match around, and we lost 3-2 in like dying minutes of the game. So that was probably the time I was the saddest, and that time at the World Cup that I mentioned at the start of this talk.
And against which team played Slovenia?
That was against Switzerland.
Switzerland.
Yeah, away.
Okay. How many hours sleeps usually press officer?
Depends. Depends on what's happening.
Actually, I wanted to ask you, how many hours did you sleep after this game against Russia, and when you went?
I don't think I slept. I'm not sure. No, not that game. Not much. I remember we were having all this. Then in the city center, we had this crowds gathering, and we were coming to the stage, and they were all wishing us luck for the World Cup and stuff like that. So that was pretty crazy, and yeah, that was amazing.
Can imagine.
But normally, when everything is normal, then okay, 6-7 hours. But when it's not normal, then you don't get much sleep.
Yeah. How many matches do you watch usually per week?
I try to watch all the games of the Slovenian National League, but I don't watch all of them, obviously, but I try to watch. So it's 5 games per match day, but I watch 3, maybe 5 if I can, but I would say around 7-8 games per week.
But you watch Slovenian games, Slovenian championship, just for joy, or as professional?
Both, I think. Just, I mean, professionally, of course, so that you can keep track of what's going on. And I like the league because, after all, it's ours. And if we're not gonna watch it, I'm not sure who will. But and then of course, Champions League, Europa League, former Yugoslav Republic clubs playing in those competitions. Of course, you try to watch all those games, and maybe some Premier League as well, or Primera, or big games.
Russian championship and such,
yeah, we do have I think it's a sport club. here. It's broadcast here on Sport Club, and yeah, I watch a match or two occasionally. Honestly, not that many, but yeah.
Maybe on that games Micha scores.
No.
Okay. The stadium with the best football atmosphere you experienced?
I would have to say, but I'm biased here, of course. I would have to say Maribor
Yeah.
for that game in 2009, I remember a great atmosphere was in Montevideo when we played there. When we played
In Uruguay.
Yeah.
Wow.
We played just a friendly game, but it was an amazing atmosphere. And we played in Argentina as well, a friendly with Argentina. That was good. That was a nice atmosphere as well. But other than that, Serbia, Belgrade was a great atmosphere when we played in the qualifiers against them. I think that's probably those that stand out.
Yeah, it's more than enough. The most stress situation you had at work?
So I don't know. I think you know, every time that something goes wrong, you get at least a bit stressed. You know, I don't know. Probably after every game, when the TV comes there with their request of who they want to talk to, and they're like, okay, that guy won't want to talk to the TV or to anybody. But so maybe that, but no, other than that. Okay. I mean, obviously there's a lot of stressful situations. I just don't know which one was the worst.
Okay, maybe I will tell you later. There's maybe will be some questions where you can tell more. The main problem of local football in your country?
Spectators.
Maybe you can say some words about it.
Well, apart from maybe 2-3 clubs, the teams don't have that many spectators coming to their games. So, okay, now it's COVID and nobody has spectators. But other than that, you know, it's a different game if it's played ahead of, I don't know, in front of, I don't know, 5, 6, 7,000 people or 500. So
yeah. But the football, it's the sport number one in Slovenia.
In Slovenia, I would, if you ask me, yes, but honestly, it depends on the success. Most of on the success of the national team. Slovenia was European champion in basketball, so so you know, at that time everybody wanted to play basketball. Then they were very successful. Then the men's volleyball team was very successful. I think they were second in Europe as well. Handball team got a bronze in World Cup, I think. And then we have Roglic and Pogačar with the Tour de France and cycling. So yeah, it's a lot of successful players that football, successful sports that football has to compete with. Hockey team was also at the Olympics. So yeah. And we have Luka Doncic and we have Jan Oblak. So if you ask me who's bigger, I don't know. Jan Oblak is a more private person, but Jan Oblak is a more close person than Luka Doncic. But if you asked me, I would say Jan Oblak is the biggest Slovenian superstar. But if you ask somebody else, he would say Luka Doncic. So
your dream as press officer of national team?
Qualifying for a big event again. Obviously.
Okay.
Just qualifying.
The last part, we have free when or free why. So all the questions will be with when or why, and you can choose which word you prefer.
Okay.
When or why?
So I have to decide now?
Yes.
Let's say when, because I don't know.
You keep silence when
I have to think about that. When you're not really sure that when you that your reply will be good enough.
You regret when?
When I say too much, probably.
And the last one, you're nervous when?
When things don't go as I imagined them. When something, I don't know, a press conference or whatever, or a interview after the game or before the game doesn't go as I anticipated, or an event, or I don't know. Yeah.
Okay. Perfect.
That's when I'm nervous. I try to hide it, but
that's it. And thank you very much again for this time.
It was my pleasure. It was my pleasure.
Yeah, and maybe so if you have the next guest, you can suggest.
Did you? So you said you already had somebody from Croatia.
I was talking to press attache of Dinamo Zagreb.
Okay, maybe Tomislav Pacak from the Croatian Football Association.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
he was in Russia in 2018.
Yes, he was.
Wow, of course. Then I will ask about quarterfinal.
Yes, he was.
It was in Sochi, actually.
Yes.
That's why. Okay.
So maybe him, and I'm sure he will have some great stories to tell you.
Yeah, I'm also sure. I really liked much your story about Maribor. Maybe in Russian football history we had two big disasters. 1998 when we played against Ukraine, and was a really very important game. We were winning 1-0, and in the last few minutes we conceived one goal. It was a draw, and we lost. And you remember, actually, after that, Slovenia played against Ukraine, and you beaten them for qualifying Euro 2000.
Yeah, with a goal from the halfway out.
Yes, Medlenko Asimovic.
Yeah.
Yeah, and this story, and the second is Maribor and Slovenia.
So we're always connected in a way.
Yes, with Ukraine also. So again, thank you so much, and I hope the situation with COVID will be better for your country. And
Me too. And I'm not sure what the situation in Russia currently is, but I think you had it pretty bad at one point, but I guess it's come down now or something.
But now it's going up again.
It's going up again.
As around in the world. But in Sochi, more or less, it's good, at least. Let's hope we finish.
I hope it stays like that, and
yes.
I hope everything is with COVID is over with pretty as soon as possible, so that we can resume our normal activities, so that we can have press conferences with journalists again, not with computers, and yeah.
Yes, exactly. And actually, I'm waiting for your answer about Jan Oblak and his similarity.
Okay. Okay, I'll tell you.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thanks, Alex. Have fun.
Yeah, bye.
Bye.